Hello. So in this video, we're going to do something a little bit different than what we were doing before. In the previous videos, we used attacks that have already a helper so that those were capturing traffic and conducting attacks on the network layer and on and upper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do an attack that may not really have a direct safety consequences, but it may affect the confidentiality of the system itself. And that also captures a little bit of what this repository originally used to be for, and it used to be specifically for wireless attack. So this is an example of attacks that you can conduct. So using this method, you can conduct attacks on WEP, on the wireless infrastructure specifically. So WEP, WPA2. For WEP, for example, you can conduct the IV collision attacks and so on. For WPA2, for example, you can conduct the WPA2 handshake capture, or for open attack, or for hidden SSID, where you can identify the traffic, identify the SSID, access point SSID by going into monitor mode and trying to find it and so on. But in any case, so this video we demonstrate how to capture a WPA2 four-way handshake from the normal SISEN Smart Building by creating a temporary monitor mode, and we force one simulated node to reconnect. Once it reconnects, we capture the EAPOL traffic. That's a four-way handshake, and therefore we are able, if we run it through a dictionary attack, which is out of context for this particular tool, we'll be able to break, basically to crack that particular password. So what we're going to do, I'm going to open a terminal like usually. I'm going to go to desktop, SISEN, and I'm going to run the SISEN tool with the scenario building and with access point WPA2 and with nodes 4 and with capture hints. Before we do that, let me just start the environment, and then scenario building, access point mode, node 4, smart building scenario. Right, it asks me for password. And then what we're going to do, let's see first that it's working fine. So we will look at it. We'll wait until all the sensors are publishing correctly, so they're all connected. One after the other will connect now. So now we have a new terminal. We're going to create a new interface, the monitor mode interface. So we're going to use sudo iwdev wlan 0 interface, add mon SISEN, you can call it whatever you want. I'm calling it mon SISEN, type and monitor. We can check. It's there, but you can see that it's not up yet. We need to bring it up basically. And you can see the WLAN 0 is basically the access point that is running for our scenario. So sudo IP link set mon SISEN, you can see it here, and set it up. Now I have I can see the mon SISEN on monitor mode, and it's up. I can do too many things. So for example, I can use TCP dump and Wireshark to actually capture the traffic and leave in capture while I do something else, or I can actually do more. So sometimes, for example, you don't know wireless access point is or what traffic it has and so on. So you can use wireless attack tools, for example, to identify what kind of traffic these access points are holding. So for example, I can use sudo aerodump -ng, which is basically part of aircrack, and mon SISEN. Just basically dump everything from one SISEN, and you will see that straight away I identify that these are the devices that are running, these are the sensors that are running. So this is the access point MAC address, and these are the different stations. I have 4 different nodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, the nodes, and it's using WPA2, and that's actually what I wanted to know. I wanted to know what encryption it's using, because it's encrypting the traffic. So now it tells me that it's WPA2. I can stop that. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to see specifically IP addresses. I want to basically find which node or which interface is basically connected. The reason why I want to do that is because I want to force a de-authentication for one of those nodes so that it can authenticate itself again. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to start capturing. So I want to start capturing using TCP dump -i. The interface this time is mon SISEN. That's the monitor mode interface that we did. And because if we capture on WLAN 0, we're going to capture only the network layer and higher. So we won't see the 802.11 traffic and control messages and anything below the network layer. So -n -vv for the verbose mode, -s0 to show all the packet, -w captures, and let's call this WPA handshake, WPA2 handshake .pcap. So we are starting the capture. We need sudo because we need sudo admin access for admin privilege for TCP dump to capture on a physical interface. And you can see now it's capturing the traffic. So I'm going to leave the capture opening. So what we're going to do now, we're going to try to identify a simulated node, one node that is running, so that we can identify it, identify which interface it's running on, and then we force this node to reconnect. When it reconnects, it basically establishes the 4-way handshake again, so that it establishes a connection with the access port. So for us to do that, we're going to first use sudo IP network namespace list, and then so we have workshop, server room, plant room, room 101. Let's say we want to force room 101 to disconnect. So sudo IP network namespace execute room 101 IP brief and link. So we want to know the interface it's running on. Execute. And the interface it's running on is WLAN 1. So the next step is basically to bring WLAN 1 down. It's up now. And then we bring it up. So to bring it down, sudo IP net execute net namespace execute. This is so the net namespace is basically to go to the namespace, execute in room 101 IP link set WLAN 1 down. And if you check again, you'll find that it's down now. And now, while we're capturing, we will bring it up. So up. So sudo IP net namespace execute room 101 IP link set WLAN 1 up. We'll wait a few seconds for it to reinitialize itself. We can close this, and then we can stop. So we captured 25,517 packets. So if we go to Wireshark now, WPA captures WPA2 handshake, As you can see, all what you're seeing is 802.11 traffic. But what's important for me for this particular activity is the EAPOL, which is basically the four-way handshake. And you can see that these are the four-way handshake, one message of 4, 2 message of 4, 3 message of 4, and 4 message of 4. And of course, that means that we can use a tool, for example, aircrack -ng, to basically, on that particular attack, with a dictionary, to basically crack that message. And the whole idea of this is basically we can violate the confidentiality of all the traffic that is happening in our environment so that we can conduct further attacks. So once you have the password for the wireless network, then you can start conducting replay attack or spoof message attack or integrity and extreme messages attack or any other attack from those attacks that we have the helpers for. So finally, I'm going to switch off the monitor mode because we want to delete it. We don't want it to remain. And obviously we can stop the terminal, the scenario itself. This is an example. There's so many different examples of wireless infrastructure attacks that you can conduct. Usually those attacks happen at the first phase before you start conducting attacks that affects the safety, that causes hazards. That's why they're not really integrated on SISEN. That's why they are outside the SISEN context. However, in a real environment, you would need to attack the wireless infrastructure, gain access so that you can conduct further attacks that you would need to do in, and this is the workflow. This is the normal flow of that attack that will cause safety hazards in a normal situation. Thank you.